Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up Lapeer. It's going to be a beautiful day. We're getting some of our best summer weather in September. So thank you all for being here. At this time, I'm going to ask Pastor Andrew Klook from Faith Christian Family Church to come up here and say our opening prayer.
Thanks, Nita. Let's pray. Father, we come before you in Jesus' name this morning. We thank you for our city. We thank you for all the business owners and all the leaders that are represented here from our community. We pray your blessing upon them. Thank you for wisdom, God, and your favor to be around our community. We just give you this meeting and this day. We thank you to have your way and just be with us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, lots of things going on. It's a busy time. In your guest bags, and you should have gotten a mailing and a letter regarding the new business directory for 2018. We're already starting to work on that. There was information that went out, and it's also in your bags about updating your membership information, and you can do that online on our website. There's also a form in there if you'd rather just update it on that form, and then fax or scan it and email it to the office. 5,500 of these go out into the community every year, listing calendar of events, a little bit of information about different things in the city, as well as all of our business members are listed in this particular directory too. So information about updating your contact information and information about advertising, which supports the cost of the publication. So you should have received that in a mailing, and then it's also available, like I said, information on our website. So if you haven't gotten it, please give us a holler or shoot us an email at the office. Our next fundraising trip is an Alaska cruise. There's information, again, in your bags. There's information up on our website. Now, this departs September of 2018, so you have lots of time to plan for it. But we do have a special travel presentation about this trip. It's a land and cruise, 13 days, a fabulous trip. It includes all your airfare and land transportation, hotel, 25 meals, and so on. So that presentation is going to be on Thursday, November the 9th, 5:30 at the Chamber of Commerce office, and we're working again with Colette Travel and then Teresa's Travel, Teresa Brandt. So if you know anyone who's interested and has talked about Alaska, it's really absolutely a beautiful state, and the trip is just going to absolutely be fabulous. So you'll be land travel, cruising. It's going to be a great trip, and it is a fundraiser to help us support our student scholarships and our Citizen of the Year awards. So if you know of anyone, share the information, and again, it's in your bags and it's also up on our website. Lots of things going on. We have a new event coming up that Pam is working very hard on Sunday, November 5th. We're going to have our first Disney Princess Luncheon. We have a professional coming in, 4 Disney princesses. They're going to be performing, singing and dancing, and then singing and dancing with the girls. There'll be a luncheon. All the little girls will get tiaras, and if you have little princes who maybe have a crush on Snow White, they are welcome to come as well. So it's going to be a really fun day. It's at the American Legion. Information is in your bags, and information is also up on the website. And actually, we have tickets for sale up here at the registration desk. So light lunch, dessert, tiaras, 4 princesses. Every little girl will have their photo taken with all of the princesses. They'll be able to sing and dance with them. And then the princesses are also going to perform select songs from their Disney productions, Snow White, Cinderella, and so on. So it's going to be a great time. We hope everybody will bring nieces, nephews, grandbabies, your little ones, and come and have a great time. And then our next network at noon, and you'll get information and reminders about these things in our email blast, and it's always up on our website, is going to be at Mancino's, and that is going to be Wednesday, October 4th. It's a good opportunity to come together and network with other businesses. Lunch is on your own, and bringing your business cards, brochures, and so on for that networking event. And then we'll keep you posted, like I said, with various reminders for all of these things that are coming up in the community. So with that said, I want to introduce our first guest speaker, Mike Jakubik from Health Alliance Plan. And Mike is going to talk a little bit about trends and what's going on with healthcare, and kind of give you some information to let you know what's coming down the road as much as what we know, correct?
Who's got a crystal ball?
There you go.
Good morning. I'm Mike Skubik. I am the Director of Individual Sales for Health Alliance Plan. I have about 30 years at HAP, not all of it in the sales arena, but the last 15 years really focused on sales of the individual, basically Medicare, and then with the ACA, the under 65 population. Anybody who has followed healthcare at all in the last 10 years, it changes by the minute. My phone is probably vibrating right now because I get an alert every single time something comes up with, all right, what's happening in healthcare? You know what? It's there. The ACA has been there. It was probably the biggest change that has affected the industry. I really want to bring this down to how does that affect you? How does that affect you in Lapeer County and you as a small business owner or a large business owner? I'm going to try to talk a little bit about that, but I don't have a crystal ball. Okay, I am going to give you, hey, this is kind of what's happening. Here's some of the things that you're going to talk about. My first presentation, Nita came, this is not going to hit the point. And I'm like, I think it will. I'm going to talk about some things that might not be exactly in Lapeer County, but there are things that are happening that you need to be aware of. Medicare, Medicaid is affecting what's happening in the business world. And if you understand that and you can follow it even loosely, I'm hoping to arm you with a little bit of information and some things that you can go talk to your insurance company about, your agent about, some things that might help you as you start trying to plan, like every business does, for more than just today and tomorrow. You're starting to look in 3 and 4 years down the line. So I'm going to try to find this. She gave me a remote. I'm going to do it quickly. Oops. Here we go. Just real quickly about HAP. About 650,000 members. We have groups, a little over 4,000 different groups, ranging in size from 2 to 34,000. So Ford, GM, Chrysler, some of the big guys. We also have small businesses all over 24 counties of Southeast Michigan. So basically from Saginaw all the way down to Monroe. Full range of products. So individual, small group, large group, Medicaid, Medicare, okay? So been here since 1956. The real growth has come in probably the last, since 1988 through today is when we've really seen that massive growth. Healthcare today, guess what? Healthcare costs continue to go up. I told you I didn't have a crystal ball. Nobody needs a crystal ball to see that healthcare costs are going up. But when you take a look at it from our perspective, when we look at some of this, we are actually starting to see medical trends curve down. So we were expecting this, and we're actually coming in a little bit better than what we had expected on the medical side. So that's when you go to the doctor, when you go to the hospital, your skilled nursing facilities, those types of things. On that medical side, trends are actually coming down, and they're coming down nationally as well as here locally. To offset that, pharmacy costs continue to go up and go up at a higher rate than anybody had projected, okay? You're seeing that driven basically by a couple of things. High cost injectable drugs, that's where the drug companies are putting their money, and the new drugs are coming out. They're very, very expensive. Liquid wrench, I'm gonna say this again, liquid wrench for your knee, okay? That's what I call it. There's a big fancy name for it, $600 a injection, okay? Great news is that's down from $1,600 24 months ago. But when they're coming out here, Hep C was a little over $3,000 for a treatment, okay? It's coming down. We're solving a lot of really big healthcare problems, but it's expensive, okay? So the costs on the pharmacy side continue to grow. When you sit there and look at it, it doesn't make a lot of sense to somebody that's not in the industry because generic utilization rates are the highest they've ever seen, okay? We are in the 80s and 90%. In the Medicare space, it's over 90. So new drugs that are coming out aren't going generic, and that's what the drug companies are really pushing, and they're working. So you can't even say that the drug companies are doing something wrong. It's technology, it's innovation that is driving these costs. The biggest change here, talk a little bit, Affordable Care Act, some things that are specific to Michigan. Michigan opted into the Medicare expansion or Medicaid expansion. So that says, hey, if you were 133% of the poverty level, you now qualify for Medicaid. The greatest expansion of Medicaid we've ever seen. Okay? It's great. It's the population that needs the help the most, right? They have problems getting to a doctor. They have problems affording it. We expanded that, but it put a whole bunch of stress on the system, a ton of stress on the system. ACA has expanded healthcare coverage to more people at one time than any program that's out there. So whether you agree with it, disagree with it, the fact is we have more people covered than we ever have. There's still a huge gap of people that aren't covered. And some of the numbers are a little goofy because there's reasons why people aren't going. One of them is, how many people have a 26-year-old that are invincible, that don't do anything? I'll never need it. I work for an insurance company. I can't get my kid to buy it. Like that, I don't need it. Okay? And it's expensive, right? So ACA, Affordable Care Act, I always say the one thing that we forgot was the affordable part. Okay? And you'll see that a little bit later. The idea was we're going to cover everybody. We're going to get pre-existing conditions. We're going to wipe them off. We're going to expand the benefits. That's great. And we're going to mandate that you get it. But if the mandate isn't equal to what you have to pay for it, then really what is that mandate? The individual mandate was supposed to be an incentive to enroll, okay? And that incentive isn't big enough, or that penalty is not big enough to actually affect the people that could or choose not to enroll in those things. Government subsidy, so when we expanded Medicaid, 133%, they also put, hey, we're gonna give people that fall between that range, we're gonna give them subsidies, we're gonna help pay for their premiums, we're gonna reduce their cost share, so you're gonna see cost share reductions, and what that really means is, hey, we're lowering your co-pays, your deductibles, and your co-insurance. And then to incentivize health plans and insurance companies to get into the business, they put a risk pool out there. When you turn on this spigot and a bunch of people get into the system, it's gonna have effect. I mean, it's gonna change that, and there's no way anybody could anticipate everything that could happen. So the federal government put kind of pools out there to say, hey, you know what, we know you're taking some risk, and we're gonna fund some pools that will help you out if anomalies happen, okay? So that's kind of where it was. When we start looking at this going forward in 2018, I start talking 2018 because open enrollment will start October 1st. So all these companies are going to come out with their new plans starting October 1st. Businesses, majority of them are renewing in December and January. So that's kind of this big change when we start looking at 2018. The biggest thing for insurance companies, health plans, this is not sustainable. What we're seeing, we've all heard it, is it repeal, is it replace, or is it what's happening right now is, right now we're doing nothing. So all of the talk that has happened, really it is status quo and we haven't changed anything. There are a couple of items that scare the industry to death. One of them is, there's been talk about, all right, is the individual mandate going to stay in place? It's not working, but it's helping. So that individual mandate is causing some people to say, yes, I'm just going to go get it because I don't want to take the penalty. But there's people out there saying, hey, the individual mandate may or may not stay. Cost share reduction. As of now, insurance companies, health plans, cross their fingers and wait for that cost share reduction check to come from the federal government every single month. Because there's talk that, hey, you know what? It may not be funded in the future. Okay? It's kind of scary. Every one of them has showed up. But as a business owner, if you're not sure, what do you do? Okay? And that's some of the things that we're starting to see happen. Okay? If you're not sure that that's going to be funded in the future, if you're listening to the news, fake news, real news, whatever news, and it's saying, hey, you know what, we're not sure we're gonna fund this in the future. It's hard for businesses to make decisions. So early in the year, you saw large carriers, United Healthcare, Aetna, Humana say, we're getting out of the market. We're going to get out of the marketplace, okay? Got to be a little bit careful, because what that means in terms of marketplace is I'm going to be out of the federal exchange. Some of them are still staying in the individual business, but they're getting out of the exchange, which means I'm not going to be able to enroll anybody that qualifies for a subsidy. The only way you can get that subsidy from the government is if you go through one of these exchanges. I honestly believe, and this is my personal opinion, and my boss is in here, they did that to try to push the government to say, make some decisions, put some finality in this, and give us some direction. And they're big enough that they thought that we could do it, because they can always change their mind. And many of these companies actually filed plans on and off exchange, even though publicly they said, hey, we're out. We're not going to do this. So I think part of that is everybody saw that and said, well, they really are kind of playing both sides of the coin, and maybe they won't leave. So a couple of them have now officially said, hey, we're not in it. There's a technicality until September 29th. You can change your mind. Okay, you have until the 29th. So I can't tell you exactly what plans I'm going to have, because we could pull those plans off or on exchange, and so could any other company out there. So right now, although everybody says this is what their stance is, you'll know on the 29th or the 1st of October. So it really creates an environment of uncertainty, which is never good for business. Okay? It's not good for any small business. It's not good for any industry business. So I will tell you what our decision was, and our rationale for doing it real quickly was we actually made an announcement last Wednesday. We told over 10,000 of our members that we were getting off the exchange. We actually pulled the plans from the state at the time and told them to pull them, so everybody knew what we were doing. And we did it for one reason. Okay? I sat at our board meeting and said, guys, we do not have affordable plans. And it's the Affordable Care Act, and that doesn't fit our mantra. We are supposed to do this. We put a 20% increase on health plans and decreased benefits. We aren't any different. Rate increases in Michigan went from 16 to 39%. We were at 20. And we just said, this isn't affordable for people. They're not going to buy it, and it doesn't fit what we are trying to do. So we took the stance that we were going to be very public about it. We did it. We pulled them off exchange. There's no question. And we're going through a process of trying to help those 10,000 people find a plan that's right for them. And we are actually spending time putting them with our competitors, because we can enroll them. And I don't want to take somebody that should be getting help. The government's offering them help and giving it to them. I'm not trying to bring them into my plan. I want them to get that assistance, and the only place they can get that is with another carrier. So what does that mean to you? I'm going to talk about this in terms of our group size, because I want people to relate to, okay, are you a small group or are you a large group? I'll talk about it in our products. Products are over here on the one side. I'm going to talk about the trends. Okay, so large groups. Large groups are seeing a shift going to self-funded. So that means they are going to take their 10,000 members, whatever it is, and they're going to come to us and say, you guys administer the benefit. We're going to pay you a percentage of those dollars, and we're going to cover all of our employees. If that employee gets Hep C, they have to pay for that claim. They're going to pay for it. All we're going to do is pay. I'm sorry, I keep changing the focus on you. They're responsible for 100%. So they're taking that risk, and there's some insurance and things, but we're seeing that shift. And what that means is they're finding out that, hey, I have to find ways to keep my employees healthy. And so you're seeing health engagement type plans go in where, hey, we're incentivizing you to go to your primary care doctor. We're incentivizing you to join a gym. We're incentivizing you to go join weight loss. Those are the things that we're good at, and they contract us to do that, but they're paying their claims themselves. The other big trend that we're seeing is health savings accounts, okay? And there's different ways of doing it, but it's a way that an employee can pre-fund some of the cost share so that they'll cover their deductible, cover their co-insurance, their co-pays, gives them a bank account and they can fund that pre-tax, the employer can fund that. So there's different ways of doing that. So that's the growth that we're really seeing in the large group. And the other thing that we're seeing that never happened over 30 years, you're seeing large groups move. Changing benefits, changing companies, it's a hard thing to do for an employer. But they're doing it for smaller and smaller amounts of money, right? They're looking to cut and save any opportunity that they can, and they're looking for more than simply health insurance. They're looking for those wellness programs. They're looking for those things to help keep their employees healthy. Small group. So when the ACA came out, you saw a lot of small groups just say, okay, I'm just getting out of the insurance business. I'm giving my employees money, and they're going to go buy it on their own. Okay, as these premiums keep creeping up and they start looking at it, we're going back to them and say, hey, we can do it better and cover you as a small group and a group product, then you can get it out there buying it on your own. Doesn't make sense kind of logically, but it does, because as a group, we know who you're employing. Okay, we know the people where they're from, what their backgrounds are. We get SID codes that says, hey, you know what, if you're a window washer, a company that's washing windows on skyscrapers, your risk is probably a little bit higher than a person that is doing something else. So that side of it, the rates on the group side are coming down. So you have to look at that. You're also seeing those same types of incentives go into small groups, okay? One more thing over here. You're going to see this, I call them local networks, but you're seeing plans come out with local networks or networks tied to specific doctors or hospitals as a way of driving down and controlling those costs. Okay, so that's one thing there. It's not hard to understand when you think about, hey, if you get your choice to go anywhere you want and you can pay a lot of money or you can save some money by narrowing that network down and keeping that business local. Oops, what did I just hit? See, I told you you shouldn't give me this. Medicaid. Medicaid, this is the one that I think is probably the most exciting and where you're starting to see, well, you won't see it from a business, but think about it from a business standpoint. This is, to me, the petri dish. There are opportunities that health plans are taking to say, hey, there's different ways in which we can try to improve the healthcare system. So there are things such as demonstration projects where we are working with the Medicaid population, trying to get them to go to the doctor. They have a problem getting there. So you're seeing Lyft, you're seeing Uber pop up and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna help you and we're gonna fund you getting you to the doctor. We have doctor's offices that now have daycare centers or appointment care centers. You start looking at what's happening. This is the test. And when these things work, you're going to see them expand out. Individual products, okay? Biggest thing here, you heard it, there's significant increases, there's fewer opportunities. Okay? I don't know what the number is going to be, but it's going to be significantly down from what we had last year. You're seeing increases in deductibles, increases in cost share. Those things all trickle down to the small business because they kind of follow the same way. And you're seeing growth right now in the co-ops or the religious type plans. You see them on the radio, you hear them all the time. Okay, they're not insurance companies, okay? They are co-ops, but it's a way of saving money, and absent on addressing the cost side, those plans are going to continue to increase, okay? They're not regulated. They're not regulated by the insurance companies or the insurance agencies, both on a state or federal level. So a little bit of a concern there. And just to give you 2 seconds on, because I keep getting my little thing here saying we're running out of time. There is hope, okay? If I look at this from an industry perspective, Medicare Advantage, which was rolled out in 2005, everybody said the same types of things. They went through this tumultuous time of up and down. We didn't know what was going on with the rates. We didn't know what was going on. Would they last? Would they not last? Well, Medicare Advantage is now a little over 40% of the health care. In 36% in our state, about 40% nationally. You're seeing plans that are very, very stable. You're seeing plans that are very competitive. You're seeing plans that are benefits are actually increasing and rates are going down. But the product has had enough time in the market to kind of stabilize. So I know there's a lot of doom and gloom out there, but it's an industry that's just going through a ton of change, and it will stabilize. It will work itself out. But time is going to be the biggest thing that will affect it, and I guess there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and probably not a train. So from that perspective, I want to open it up for questions real quickly. Anything specific that Connie, you can't answer the question.
I'm asking for clarification.
Yes.
Half pulling out of the marketplace, but they will still have individual plans available to purchase, correct?
So the answer to that question is, in a public statement, we said yes, because technically we cannot say anything about our plans until October 1st, but publicly that's what we said. We could pull them off. Our intention is to have plans off market so you can buy them from us directly, but we will not be available on the marketplace or healthcare exchange. You set me up for that. Yes, ma'am.
Why is it that pharmacy costs in other countries are so much less than?
That's a really complicated question, and I wish I had a great presentation from our pharmacy director. A lot of the drugs are being developed here in the United States, right? Germany is another area that they're there. They have different regulations. We have this, how long does it take to go to generic, and what makes it a generic versus a brand name drug? What are their pricing? Some of it is just the innovation that's going on, and I don't think the industry has kind of caught up to that. And without setting pricing or saying, hey, it can't cost more than that, which kind of is not the American way, that's a problem that the industry is facing, and ultimately it will address. But if I was somebody here with Hep C 5 years ago, I didn't have a clue that I would ever have a cure, and it's gone. You take 3 shots, you go through the series, and you don't have it. That's never happened before, and my personal opinion, without having that innovation, without giving some of that, I don't know that the incentive is there for the drug companies to spend that kind of money. And it's expensive. I don't know if you've ever been, the Ann Arbor's got their drug research center there, and been through there. It's an amazing place. Any other questions? I'll be around till the end. I don't know that Connie is gonna be able to stay, because she's gonna go see our product introduction. So if you have any questions, I'll be around till the end. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. Our next guest speaker is Don Brown. He is the Senior Community Outreach Coordinator for Congressman Paul Mitchell. So he is our next speaker. Don, come on up.
Thank you. Thank you for having me out this morning. I come from live in Romeo, so it's a little bit of an earlier get up Lapeer morning than maybe some of you have had, but I enjoy it. I'm Don Brown. I work for Congressman Paul Mitchell. She said I'm one of his outreach staff. I worked formerly with Congressman Candace Meyer. I've known many of you through my long service with the Congresswoman before that, and now I'm working for the Congressman. It's going very well. Many of you may, just to remind you, because the district hasn't changed, the member of Congress has changed, but the district still remains the same, except the 10th Congressional District is the northern third of Macomb County, all of St. Clair County, all of Lapeer County. And going north, we have Sanilac County, and the tip of the thumb is Huron County, Port Austin, out by the bay. And also Tuscola County, the bottom of Saginaw Bay. We've got 3/4 of Tuscola County. About technically it's supposed to be 711,000 people in the congressional district. There's 435 members of Congress, so they divide all the districts up by population, and the number comes out to 711,000 people per district, give or take, So that's what the size of the district is. A big area. And Congressman Mitchell, is a freshman in Congress and is well entrenched in what's going on. We're about a little more than halfway through this first year in Congress, and it's been a busy time for the congressman. Unlike most freshmen, he serves on 3 committees, and the first committee is the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, and that deals with, as it sounds, transportation infrastructure issues. He also serves on 3 subcommittees of that main committee. The first one's a subcommittee on aviation. Airports like our local airport here in Lapeer is governed by the FAA regulations, but it's managed by the state of Michigan, MDOT. MDOT's got an aviation division. And the smaller community airports like Lapeer, DuPont Lapeer, other small rural airports are managed by the state of Michigan. Bigger ones like Metro Airport, Flint, those are run directly by the FAA and administered on a daily basis by FAA to oversee the regulations. So those issues and how the federal government interacts with aviation issues is something that the congressman's involved in. Questions like DHS, when they were talking about the latest security measures need to be put at airports because of threat from overseas, the technology may be changing, so they're looking at how do we implement changes possibly to our security system to protect all the Americans on our airlines. Those are some of the issues that he deals with in that subcommittee. Another one is the subcommittee on highways, and right now in Michigan's the leader in the whole country, if not the world, on intelligent transportation vehicles. They're looking forward and saying, well, how does the federal government interact with that change in technology in terms of regulations? What can we do to help invest and support and incentivize investment in that technology to help our roads and highways be the next smart highways? We're doing a project right now, partnering with the state of Michigan, not we, but the state of Michigan is partnering with the local military, TARDAC and the NAC, working on ways of creating intelligent transportation systems, integrating with the vehicles on I-69. There's a project right now that was announced in Mackinac this past summer, and they're using vehicles that the military is developing and the auto industry, as well as the state of Michigan trying to work with the highway department to find ways to create infrastructure along that roadway that make our cars transportation more efficient, to get to the next generation of cars. Driverless vehicles, those are coming. And so how they work through. So what's the federal government interaction with all those things? That's kind of what they're looking at, among other things, in the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. Another committee that he serves on, a subcommittee, serves on a subcommittee on rail. We have some rail, obviously Lapeer, you got the main tracks run through Lapeer coming from Canada. It's a CN line. But there's also many short lines around our state, and rail is an important transportation item that we need, and it needs improvement, needs greater investment. Rail lines are owned privately, so you can't tell them what to do, but we're trying to find ways to get them to maybe the short lines to invest more money in their short line rail, because Michigan is the number 2 industry in the state of Michigan is agriculture. And we know that in Lapeer from being out here, that agriculture is doing great. Production is going through the roof. Capacity to store our agriculture needs to be expanded, more greater elevators and so forth, storage capacity. But our ability to get that product out to market has been impaired by the fact that our rail lines, our short rail lines, aren't up to the standards that they need to be 10-mile-an-hour tracks, lack of investment in the tracks, shortage of rail cars. There's a lot of issues going on that are hampering Michigan's ability to really push out our agricultural products out to market and get them out to the world. And rail is one of those issues. So that's an area that that committee will look at, and Congressman Mitchell's right there in a good place for us. Another committee that he serves on is the Education and Workforce Development Committee, as it sounds, and he also serves on the subcommittee for health, employment, labor, and pensions, and another subcommittee on higher education, workforce development. Congressman Mitchell in the private sector, he spent his whole career in workforce development with Ross Education, developing job training skills for adults and people transitioning from workplace to had problems and retraining. So he's comes from a unique background that gives him an added value in this committee. He's really enjoying that work. We've had discussions in Lapeer County with Mott Community College, where we're at today, there, along with private sector and our local school districts, looking at ways that we can explore what can we do to make vocational education more accessible, more meaningful, more plentiful. Quite frankly, our employers are looking for more skilled labor. There's a real demand, of all types, and there's great paying jobs. And you know what? You can earn as much money, if not more money, going through a vocational school and not having the debt, college debt, that somebody who's going to a four-year university has. And how can we get more of our kids in the workplace, rather than maybe trying to create the workplace in the school setting? How about just getting our kids from the schools, put them in the workplace themselves, and what are the barriers that are preventing them from doing that? And so there's a discussion going on right now in Lapeer County that the Congressman's helped initiate to help try to work that and develop that. So that's something that he's interested in pursuing and looking to see where Washington has a part in that discussion. It takes all levels, right? Locally, the schools, the parents, the schools, the state has some say-so on certification issues that are issues sometimes to bring skilled people that can train our students, but they've got to go through certain hoops. What can we do to make that a little bit easier? So it's state and federal. There's maybe some tax and maybe some federal regulations that we could use to help make it a little bit easier for our employers to take students into their workplace and show them and teach them. So these are just ideas that Congressman Mitchell's trying to work and partnering with all of us locally here to try to improve the education and the workforce, because our employers need talent. We're at almost full employment now, and we hear it everywhere we go. When every business, whether it's small business or big business, we can't find the talent. We need more talent. We need people to have the skills that we need, because we don't have enough of them. So that's one area that Congressman Mitchell's looking at. Some of the issues recently that he's been involved in, he just sponsored 3 amendments to make America secure and prosperous. It's H.R. 3354, and basically what it's trying to get to is eliminating bureaucratic expenses, and by asking them to cut 10% of their budgets. As a manager, if you can't cut 10% of your budget, you got a serious issue. And he thinks that they could probably cut 10% of their budget over some of these departments that he has jurisdiction over through his committees to help save some money. Because we are facing running deficits, and the deficits, if not brought under control, will bring this country a serious problem. So that's one of the ways they're trying to get at that. There's another one. We all are familiar with the issue about Canada, the Canadian nuclear waste dump that they want to put on the Lake Huron. It's been an ongoing issue back 10 years ago, and it still continues to be there. The new Prime Minister of Canada has it under review, so it hasn't taken place yet. Congressman Mitchell authored a letter that was sent from the Michigan delegation to the president, asking him to get his Secretary of State involved in asking Canada to cease and desist, as had the prior administration to Canada. He also offered an amendment that was passed by the House that prevents any money going to the International Joint Commission to attend any meetings or dialogue with Canada on any subject regarding the Great Lakes as a sign of protest over what the Canadian governments are doing with the potential they may do by siting that nuclear waste dump on the Canadian shoreline of Lake Huron. The IJC is the International Joint Commission, which is a 3-person panel represented by the United States and Canada that deal with trade issues and border issues and environmental issues that affect both of our countries along the shared border. Now, in our area, it's all water, right? We're watered border, so we're very concerned about environmental issues. And so the International Joint Commission is a body that's used to try to mitigate differences between Canada and the United States. And this one issue is so important to the United States that the Congress, the House of Representatives anyway, passed that said the United States shall not participate in this International Joint Commission until such time that the Canadian government takes positive action on that question regarding the nuclear waste dump. Congressman Mitchell is also working on some other issues. Tax reform is hot on the agenda now. They're moving towards that and trying to work to try to reduce obviously the tax burden on all Americans, reduce the number of tax brackets. I think there's 36 various brackets now. We're trying to maybe reduce it down to 4. Have it so most Americans can pay their taxes on a 4x5 card instead of having a volume as far, have to hire professionals to do your taxes. Simplify the tax code, eliminate many of the deductions, streamline them, obviously keep the ones like for for home ownership, mortgage interest, and personal exemptions. But that's a work in progress, and quite frankly, it may be just as difficult dealing with that than it was for healthcare, because so many people have such interest in the tax code, and that's, everyone's got a hand in the tax code trying to get their piece of how they don't have to pay the taxes. Well, if we lower everyone's taxes to a certain level, it'll make us more competitive overseas and put more money in American people's pockets and invest more in our economy. The United States has got one of the highest corporate tax rates in the world, and we want to lower that, make it so Americans can have American corporations stay in the United States rather than having to go offshore to get tax advantages and other benefits that they perceive are better overseas than in their own country. So that's a debate that's going to go on, and I hope to get that done by the first of the year. Infrastructure bill, they're trying to go forward and get infrastructure package going in the Congress to invest in America. We've spent a lot of money overseas and redeveloping places where we've been and serving overseas in wars. Why don't we invest in America and invest in infrastructure, not only in road infrastructure, but technology infrastructure, IT, and IT and other forms of infrastructure that will build us up. Healthcare, they're going to take another run at healthcare reform. The House did pass a healthcare package and sent it to the Senate, where many good ideas often die. They've done that, and they're going to still try to take another pass at that and maybe get something to the Senate that maybe they can take a look at and move forward on. Healthcare costs are crippling small businesses and governments everywhere we go. We hear it time and time again. I mean, double-digit healthcare expenses cannot be sustained over a long period of time. It's going to cost employers to lay off people, local governments to limit services because they will not have the money to pay those continued costs. And ultimately, they're passed on to the individual, and people don't have the money to pay for it. They won't use the health care, and guess what happens? And now everyone's health care suffers, which was supposed to be the goal of the health care reform bill, right? I work in a local district office here in Shelby Township. We have a district office that deals primarily with assistance to all of you and the residents of the district to access help with agencies, federal agencies, whether it's Social Security, Veterans Affairs, whatever it happens to be that involves the federal government. Contact our local district office. In all of your packages, you have a contact card that has information, our address in there about the district office as well as our local office, and the contact numbers, and our email address, which is mitchell.house.gov. A very good site to go to, because on there you can get not only access to service requests for something that you're working on and get you the way to get started into that, as well as you can sign up for our e-newsletter that Congressman Mitchell sends out on a weekly basis to get updates on what's going on in Congress. You can keep updated on what's happening there. We also have latest statements on that website from Congressman Mitchell on what current events are going on, what his statements are on whatever given issue that's breaking right now, as well as policy issues that, let's remember, like I've told you about the bill that he passed to try to limit some government spending, or the bills on dealing with the Kincardine nuclear waste facility. There's also information on his votes, being very transparent, wants people to know what his votes are in Congress. So he has those listed there on his website, so you can go and see how did he vote on these specific issues. And most importantly, he wants to hear from you. So there's a direct website. You can just punch in your question, say, I got a question about this. What can you help me with this? Or I disagree about this, or I want you to vote this way. You can do that right on the website and just send it directly right onto his staff, and he'll have a response to you right away. can always call our offices, to our district office phone numbers right here, and you can get a hold of them. And as I'm an outreach person, so Congressman's often in Washington, so you get me often because he can't be in 2 places at once. And so I'm happy to meet with you in big or small groups to do basically what I'm doing right now, to give you an update and give personal attention to your issues. Because that's what I do. I'm on the road all the time. I'm early in the office. I'm out meeting with constituents, meeting with small businesses, big and small, to try to find ways that we can support what they do and be aware of what's going on so that I can pass that along to Congressman Mitchell, because I'm the conduit to his office if he's unavailable, as he is today. So we want to continue to be out there and talking to all of you, and please stay in touch. We want to hear from you, and Congressman Mitchell takes his job very seriously. He's very honored to represent all of you, and he takes his job very seriously. He tells me all the time it's such a great honor to represent the good people of the 10th District, and he doesn't take it lightly at all, and he's working hard. And as Lapeer County's own resident, as he lives in Dryden, as you many probably know here being in Lapeer, he's very, very happy with that. So I'll conclude my remarks. Actually, I'm getting the time to say goodbye, but I'll take a couple questions if you like, if there's any questions. Well, very good. Listen, thank you. I'm going to hang around, and certainly grab me afterwards, and we'll see you all around in the future on one of these events. Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time here this morning. Thank you. Okay, our first sponsor today, Matt Beasley from Beasley Insurance. There you are, Matt. Come on up here.
Thanks, Nita. My name is Matt Beasley. I'm with Beasley Insurance Agency. We're a new insurance agency in town. My office is right down at the Lapeer Marketplace, behind Jimmy John's and Starbucks. Everybody knows where that is. So I got my sign put up on Sunday, so now you can actually find my office. We sell life, auto, home, and business. And our main carrier is MEMIC. Everybody heard of MEMIC Insurance? Most people haven't heard of it. It was founded in the 1950s by teachers, and the whole goal was to provide insurance for the educational community. And today it's still based primarily on that. Anybody from professors at a university to the maintenance crew at an elementary qualify for it. So you can, and it's fantastic coverage for those teachers. And in the last couple of years, MEMIC has kind of cut back on their eligibility, so they've opened it up for more. So if you're not in the educational community, you can still get into it. I'm the only agent in town that has it, actually the only agent in the area that has it, so you should swing by. On top of that, MEMIC also has a foundation. So a portion of all premium dollars are taken and given to the foundation. That foundation then gives out the money as grants to the school systems. So this year alone, I think they're giving out like $600,000. Last week I was at Terrell and I gave out 3 grants. I was in Dryden and gave out a grant, Lynch, and give it all year. It makes you feel good because you save some money on your insurance, but you're also giving back to the school system. So, and for everybody that doesn't fit into MEMIC, we also have a bunch of other carriers that I can place you with. So if you don't fit into the MEMIC, I can get you some insurance. And then, as I said, I have life insurance, which in my opinion, if you have children, you should get some life insurance. And for business, any type of business, no matter what it is, I can place you with a carrier. So pretty much that's it. That's all I had. I appreciate the time and enjoy the sunshine today.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, our next sponsor, Holiday Depot, Chris Rushlow and Sue Brady are going to come up and talk about Holiday Depot. And I don't know if you've noticed in one of the slides, Holiday Depot has redecorated their front window to honor our veterans over history. They've got a lot of really neat memorabilia in their front window. It's really very cool the way they've got it decorated. So if you stop by our office or you happen to swing by, take a look at it. It's really very cool.
I got it. Thank you, Chris. Well, good morning. My name is Sue Brady. I am the Executive Director of Love Inc., but I'm here as the Secretary of Holiday Depot today because Debbie's on a cruise, so I'm taking her place in Alaska. So anyways, Holiday Depot has been around now for 20 years, and it's a collaboration of many business groups that come together to provide Christmas for a child in need. And the client, what we do is we have intakes around the area. We have intakes places, sites. I'm already get mixed up. I'm sorry. We have intake sites around Lapeer County that people could go to, our clients, and fill out an application to become a client. They have to bring proof of a social security card or birth certificate for everyone in the home, and they have to bring proof of income too. We do take and make sure that they are eligible at 150% income to qualify for Holiday Depot. These intakes are then given to us at Love Inc., and Love Inc. is the one that provides the donors or the adopted donors with the client. And that's where you come into it, because you can adopt a client. You can help help Holiday Depot by adopting a family, donating a new toy, put a barrel in your business, put up a giving tree. You can have a personal item drive, collect hats and gloves, and donate your time. Because actually, a client that is not adopted by a donor then will go to the storefront, which is beside Lapeer Chamber of Commerce, and they can shop. And that way each child does get something. If the client needs food, then Love Inc. will provide this client with food with the financial help of Holiday Depot. And they usually service anywhere from 400 to 800 families a year. So I guess to start out by saying Merry Christmas to everyone, because it's time to start thinking all about Christmas and adopting a family, if possible, your business, yourself, your families, to help all the needy children of Lapeer County. Are there any questions? Now that I've mumbled my way through all of that. Pardon me?
Do you take cash?
Oh, we take cash, absolutely. We'll take cash. That's the number one, because we do have lots and lots of toys in there, and people can come in and, like I said, they can shop for their child and they get really nice gifts, and that doesn't cost them a dime. But thank you very much for supporting Holiday Depot all of these years and taking care of all the families here in Lapeer County. Anything else, Chris?
Next week is our volunteer orientation. So if you want to just volunteer at the intake center or at the store, take the phone, any of those things. We have orientation next week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So just let us know if you're available. We'd love to have you. Thank you.
Just what time is orientation going to be?
Oh, Monday it's at 1, Tuesday it's at 9:30 a.m., Thursday is 7 p.m., and Friday is 3 o'clock p.m.
Do you need this back? Sure.
Great. Thank you, ladies. And it really, being right next door, we see just how many families go in and out of the Holiday Depot every year. And for some of those families, the families that do go, it's the only resource that the parents have to be able to help provide Christmas for their children. And they also do accept, coats and winter clothing items as well to help make sure that these kids have boots on their feet. HAP also does a program for that each year to make sure they have coats in addition to toys, and at least being able to have that same joy and that same feeling when their children get up in the morning on Christmas morning. So we see it every single year, and we watch and we see how many families come in. We get calls constantly. trying to get information or where to go with numbers. So we try to help act as a resource for people to get connected with Holiday Depot. So, and it all stays right here in our county. So it's really important and a much needed service and organization for families. Okay, so Tom Brown, Lapeer High School business instructor. There you are, Tom. Come on up.
Thank you. Let me clarify to begin that this is not my normal garb. At high school, we have homecoming week, and this is the theme for the day is Throwback Thursday. So I'm wearing my high school varsity jacket, my one excuse I can wear it for the year. So, like she said, my name is Tom Brown. I am the high school business teacher at Lapeer High. 15th year teacher, second year at Lapeer. And let me just take a moment to tell you how impressed I am in my second year at Lapeer. The students, the staff, very impressive all the way from the art, drama, band, athletics, very impressive. The students are great, very impressed my second year here at Lapeer. Why am I here? I want to build a better relationship with the local business community. I want to build a bridge from the high school to the business community. The students, I just started a business club and started DECA. It's a competitive club as well. I've got a great support. Students are thirsty. Students are wanting more knowledge. They want more experience. They're really excited. It makes me excited. It makes me enthused. And I want to, like I said, I just really want to build this this bridge and a better relationship. Some of the things I'm looking for: speakers, presenters to come into the classroom. It's one thing for me to talk about a topic. That's what I do. That's what I'm supposed to do as a teacher. But hearing it from somebody in the business field, it might make a little more sense and might be more meaningful. Job shadowing. Currently, I'm talking about careers and career planning. How do students know what they want to do unless they actually try it, unless they're exposed to it? Instead of wasting 4 years, wasting good money, wasting good effort, and then finally realizing, this isn't really what I want to do. I want them to be able to go out, experience it for a day or two or however long, but I need your cooperation. I need your willingness to participate in this. I know Mr. Brown had mentioned a lot of good things about building a relationship between the business community as well as the high schools. And that's just one idea, getting the businesses in and the students outside into the businesses as well. Possible internships. Like I said, the students have been very impressive from what I've seen, from what I've heard. Sponsors. As I mentioned, DECA is a competitive event. It costs money. Dave Ramsey, I introduced Dave Ramsey into my classroom. He's got a great program, however, it costs money. Judges for DECA. We're always looking for judges to help judge the events. School store supplier, I'm also in charge of the school store. Possible field trips, possible career fair, and thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to talking to you, and go Bolts.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm sure there are plenty of individuals here who could talk to you about possibly coming in and speaking with your students and such, and maybe some internships and those types of things. Okay, our next special guest, Tom. Where's Tom? Tom Weir, and he is with Lapeer Strike Zone Team 5460. And I don't know if you all noticed that great big huge robot up there as you came in. They brought that in today for everybody to see that.
Hi, my name is Tom Weir, and I'm here with Team 5460 Strike Zone. We're a robotics team out of Lapeer. Robotics is a growing field and provides enormous benefits not only to students, but to the entire community. Our team is creating robots which utilize the same technology that is used in numerous companies and manufacturing facilities. Students on our team are not only learning how to use a ruler, but also learning how to create parts in virtual environments. They are learning also about teamwork and leadership. We're preparing today's students for tomorrow's opportunities through teaching advanced concepts and tasks, and mentoring team members to success. We do more than just build incredible robots. We are also helping the community through community service projects such as volunteering with recycling at Habitat for Humanity, managing the Soapbox Derby at Lapeer Days with the Optimist Group, a major project benefiting people with disabilities, and also helping host RoboCon, a robotics event that you might have seen in the paper recently. Behind me is a slideshow of our team in action. That's actually the team that we mentor for first Lego League. Our current successes this year is that we have 28 students on our team, which is a new high. We've also been very successful in competition. And finally, we've doubled our community service projects this year. Our future objectives are to create partnerships, expand our impact on the community, and continue to grow our successful team. We need your help to obtain our objectives and provide benefits to our community. Not only do we need capital, we need community leaders with talents such as engineering, CAD and design, and business development. Many robotics teams operate with large budgets and a variety of mentors. We have achieved great success with far less. We enjoy the continued support of many local businesses and would like to request your help in the investment in our team for the 2017-2018 season. If you look in the grab bag, you will find an info sheet that tells you more about our team and how to contact us about future financial investments and mentorship opportunities. This is our robot in action. We have it back there. We're going to be showing it off a little bit after everyone's presented. And thank you for your time and have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Really an amazing team, and they do a great job in supporting the Rotary with the Soapbox Derby at Lapeer Days, and then also help assist with the Kitty Carnival on the courthouse lawn during Lapeer Days, so kids can actually see some of the robots in action and they can get involved with them. And then obviously at the event that they just had at CFI, that was just an amazing, amazing event. So these kids really are remarkable. So I hope that some of you will get involved and touch base with Tom and get more information. And like I said, there is information in your bags as well. Okay, did Ben make it back? No? Okay. Unfortunately, Ben Cummings was one of our sponsors today, but had an emergency call and had to leave. So hopefully maybe he might make it back. So we're going to move on. Our first nonprofit, Habitat for Humanity. Cheryl Holland, come on up here.
Thank you for inviting me today. Habitat for Humanity in Lapeer, Tuscola is one of the fastest growing, nonprofits around, even within Habitat world, like we're stretching. We know that if it's asked of us, we can probably do it. We have 2 fundraisers coming up because I know I have a limited time. They're in your pamphlets. One is this really bright orange flyer. We have a local resource here in Lapeer County named Bob Milne. He is a uber talented musician, piano player, historian, storyteller, really great entertainer. He's doing a program this Friday at Trinity United Methodist Church. All the proceeds go to Habitat. I see your 30 seconds, thank you. Please come. Tickets are available at the Restore. There will be some at the door, but they are going quickly. There's also a flyer in your envelope for our auction dinner, which is only 6 weeks away. I will be probably coming by your business looking for support. Please do what you can. You have always been graced by great support from this community, and we know we always count on you and we always annoy you. But we're happy that we have you in our pockets. Thank you for the 30 seconds, 1 minute.
For 1 minute.
Thanks.
Thanks, Cheryl. We're getting in each other's way. Okay, our next nonprofit, Ed LeVar from WMPC Radio. Come on up here.
Next Saturday, we're having our Free Fall Family Fun Festival. Pretty flyer designed by a 7-year-old. If you could put that up somewhere, in your window, on the storefront, even on your refrigerator to remind you to come and bring some kids, even if they're the neighbor's kids, your neighbor will love you for it. And the reason why we do this is just get more people acclimated to the radio station. We do tours, museum tours. And it's amazing what God does when somebody is exposed to the gospel. In the last 3 months, we've given a Bible out to a man who was of Muslim faith. He's now reading his Bible. We had a teenager who had no idea who Jesus was, now reading the Gospel of John. And at Lapeer days, we had a man in his 30s who said he was a Christian when he was 9, but he kind of fell away from the Lord for many years, seeking prayer because he was going through some difficult problems, and now is back in church. So, this is very helpful if you can just let people know about it somehow, somewhere. Make a bunch of photocopies. There's no copyright on it. She was 7, so thank you.
All right, thanks, Ed. Okay, Vietnam Veterans of America, Mr. Glenn Ream. Come on up here, my buddy. Always lots going on with you, I know, right? Okay, so you got a minute here, so talk fast.
Okay, we did a POWMIA ceremony on Saturday, and Nita and Pam provided our music for it. Veterans Day is just around the corner. If you look in your package, there's a flyer there. The flyers are courtesy of the chamber. If you're a business, feel free to put it in your window. That means you're supporting us veterans. And Veterans Day is for people who are still upright and breathing. All services, it's not Memorial Day. People get confused. Memorial Day is for deceased only. One other thing, PTSD. This lady wrote an article. We have 22 veterans a day dying from suicide. Now, this is not just a veterans issue. This is a nationwide issue. We're seeing kids 8, 10, 14 years old taking their own lives. When they get to that point, they don't care about us. All they want is to end their problems, and when you leave behind the people that you wonder where you could have realized and done something for these people. There's know the 5 signs: personality changes, agitation, withdrawal, poor self-care, and hopelessness. When it comes to hopelessness, that's when you go into what they call the suicide watch. Now, I can attest to the first 4 I've been involved with. Suicide, no. I've had a lot of things happen, but that never entered a thought in my head. So with that said, like I said, please, if you're a business and you have the Veterans Day flyer in your package there, something we tried to do a little different this year to get a heads up to everybody and support our veterans in our community. Thank you.
And while you're up, just going to have our Veterans Day ceremony like we always do, Glenn, down at the park. Okay, Veterans Park. So when we get that information, we will be sharing that out. And I encourage you folks, if you have social media pages personally and for your business, one way that you can really help to strengthen the network of businesses and things in the community is to be able to post those things and share those for each other to help promote each other's businesses, organizations, efforts, events and things that are going on in the community. So. Sandra Johnson, Hamilton Community Health Network is our next nonprofit. Come on up here. Nice to see you this morning.
Good morning. For those of you who didn't know, Hamilton Community Health Network is one of the largest federally qualified health centers in our area. We have 6 clinics, 4 in Flint, 1 in Clio, and 1 in Lapeer. Our Lapeer clinic has been open since January of 2016. And my charge here today is just to remind you all that we are still located here in Lapeer. We're at 1570 Suncrest, which is located right in the same area building that's community mental health. And we're right on the Suncrest side is where our entrance is. In talking about open enrollment and hearing the information from HAP, just want to remind you all that as a FQHC, we do have family navigators on board, and while there's some confusion and some controversy with what's happening with our enrollment processes here in the state of Michigan in particular, we do have navigators that are assigned to our areas. And so in your packets, there's a card. If you have anyone that is in need of health insurance, need assistance in understanding this health insurance enrollment process, or are just without a physician, we accept all and some insurances, and we also accept none with the sliding fee scale for income-based. So Hamilton Community Health Network, 1570 Suncrest, and please help us share the word. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. One other announcement that I wanted to make. I know probably all of you are aware of the marquee on 24 near the railroad tracks that has been inactive for quite a while now. Very expensive project to rebuild. It's actually just the technology is very outdated, and it's going to require new technology, new state-of-the-art marquee that will be back up there that will promote our community, promote events and things going on in our community. Will also help to promote downtown businesses and such. So the project is, like I said, quite costly. So the city of Lapeer, the Downtown Development Authority, came up with 2/3 of the funding, and we just voted, the board of directors with the chamber, James Alt, as some of you may know, is the new Downtown Development Authority. So we talked some time ago about getting involved in that project. There's a proposal that they came forward with, and a particular marquee, the style that we need. It's going to take a little adaptation because now the new fencing, the new MDOT fence along that section of 24, it's very beautiful, and the new bridge and what have you, but it's up so high that even the new marquee is going to have to be built up in order to be visible above the fence. So the Chamber of Commerce has committed to helping with 1/3 of that cost. So the new marquee will be purchased very shortly, and it will be sponsored by the City of Lapeer, the Downtown Development Authority, and the Lapeer Area Chamber of Commerce. It really is, I think, going to be a great asset again to the community, like I said, for promoting local businesses, promoting events and things in our community that draw people in, and promoting the downtown, helping for us with the chamber. Many weeks we may not use that marquee. So one of our goals and thoughts is to be able to offer that to a lot of our nonprofits who are having fundraising events. So it will help them promote what they're doing because their organizations are giving back to the community. So we're really excited about being able to be involved in this project and help the community in this way. And hopefully we'll see it up before Christmas. It could be, by the time that it's ordered, installed, and everything is taken care of it, 7 to 8 weeks. So we might be cutting it a little close, but eventually that marquee will be back to be able to utilize to promote our community and businesses and things that are happening in the area. So, okay, so now we're going to do our 50-50 drawing.